So I'm a sleep physician, but I spend a lot of my time and career trying to educate and advocate for people to prioritize sleep, right? This fascinating process that each of us does every single night and arguably is about a third of our lives. But many individuals don't do this very well, or they, sacrifice it and they overlook this area. I very much believe if you don't sleep your best, you will not be your best. Or counter to that is if your sleep is best, you will be at your best. And what that means, if I unpack that a little bit more, is we often are sacrificing our sleep. We're underslept. We often don't have good quality sleep. We're very reactive to our sleep at nighttime, and it's the last thing that we think of at the end of the day when we wrap everything up. And that's arguably not going to put ourselves up to be the best we can be in the following day, right? And for my elite athletes that I work with, when you actually get sufficient sleep, you have practices that you plan into your day and you actually are more proactive with that, it can be a game changer. And for them, when it comes to performance on the field, that can be the difference of a 9% improvement in free throw shots. It can mean reacting 12% faster. And so until you experience that, it sometimes is hard to grasp how much of a difference this can make in your life. But it is one of the foundations that will impact everything about how you function, your mood, how you feel, and ultimately perform the following day. If I could offer you, you specifically, Steve, if I could offer you something that's free and healthy and safe, that's going to help you think more clearly, make better decisions, be in a better mood, be more productive and efficient, would you want it?
Of course. How much?
Exactly. And so it's really a decision of whether you want to invest your time to be able to be more proactive with this particular area of your life to get the benefits that come down the road with it.
Who do you work with? Give me a sort of broad spectrum of the individuals, organizations that you've worked with on sleep, and why have they come to you?
I have had an opportunity to work with a number of professional sports teams and athletes, as well as organizations over the years, to try and apply the science into practice to help them improve their sleep, their scheduling, and their travel. So, for example, I've been with the San Francisco Giants in Major League Baseball. I've worked with NBA teams like the Golden State Warriors, NFL teams like the Philadelphia Eagles. I won a Super Bowl ring in 2017 with them, to other sports organizations like Nike and Under Armour and ESPN to try and show how you can predict when NBA teams will lose strictly based on the schedule and insufficient sleep opportunities, to individual athletes who recognize, hey, this is an area that I am not optimizing, and I know this can be such a valuable asset to extend my career, to prevent injuries down the road, and to help me be at my best.
Do you ever work with CEOs?
I do. I do work with executives and C-suite executives to try and help them be their best, because they too are high performers, right? Their performance outcomes are maybe a little bit different than pro athletes, where we're quantifying on-field performance and looking at their swim times and what they're doing when it comes to the on-court or on-field performance outcomes. But for these executives, they arguably are also making incredibly important decisions. They have to still react when they're under pressure, and they have to make good judgment calls. And so many of the things that I coach and try to recommend to my elite athletes are very much applicable to the C-suite executive or even just the working professional.
That's really what I found so fascinating about your research and your work, is that although there's a focus on athletes, as someone who is also traveling, is also very, very busy, also struggles with sleep sometimes because I have to perform late at night, whether that's on stage or with meetings or whatever it might be, I resonated with so much of it. And I also train in the gym pretty much every day, if I can. And I've also noticed a correlation between things like injury in the gym based on how I'm sleeping and my quote unquote sleep debt. But I want to confront two things. The first thing I want to confront is the misconceptions around sleep that you encounter over and over again. What are the big overarching misconceptions that stand in the way of people believing in and or implementing the advice that you give them?
I'll start with just this badge of honor that I really believe still persists in society, where you should get only 4 or 5 hours of sleep and should be able to perform at your best. And I think the tides are turning, and I do think that that is changing over the last several years, where there are more vocal advocates of, elite athletes like the Tom Bradys who, say everything is around performance enhancement. I need to go to bed early so that I can wake up early and to be ready to go for the day, to, the Simone Biles who says I need to get 8 hours of sleep. And so I think that that is a badge of honor that is now shifting. And now it's going to become, well, if you're not getting your 8, 9, 10 hours of sleep, right, then you're actually at a decrement to yourself, and you're actually not going to set yourself up to be the best that you could possibly be, whether you're on the field as a pro athlete or whether you're leading an organization or trying to go after whatever it is that matters to you, right? And I think that's going to continue to shift, but I'm excited about it because that's one thing. Until you experience that difference and that life transformation of what it feels like to be well rested, then it can be a game changer. You never want to go back to it again when you're getting insufficient sleep.
Are there any misconceptions around how to sleep and sleep hygiene and I know the quantities of sleep we need that also seem to stand in people's way of them getting a great night's sleep?
Yeah, so I think that there is a misconception that everyone needs a certain amount of sleep. There's individual variability. So the recommendation from the American Academy of Sleep Medicine and the Sleep Research Society, so two of our national organizations here in the US, recommend minimally 7 hours of sleep. But that's the lower threshold. You might actually need 8 hours or 9 hours or more to feel well rested, right? I personally feel terrible on 7 hours, and I much more need the 8 to 9 hours. And there's those in that individual differences. So you need to find what you feel well rested, you're able to function well at a high level during the day, and that will then be your individual requirement. So I think there's this misperception that everyone needs a certain amount, but you need to find what works for you. And it's all about small changes. So if you're not at 7 hours, I think you shared sometimes you're under that.
Oh yeah, sometimes, yeah.
It's about 15 or 30 minutes more can make a difference. So if you're getting 6 hours, then I'm going to recommend getting 15 minutes or 30 minutes more every day for this 1 week, and then get 15 or 30 minutes more next week, so that you're building from, say, 6 hours of sleep to 6.5 hours. And you may not think that that's that much, but we can all do 15 minutes more, right? We're less scrolling or doing what we're wrapping up our day, but those 15 minutes add up, where that's the difference of like an A student to a B student, or 11 minutes more sleep is the difference.
Actually?
Of a B student to a C student in one of these studies.
Really?
Exactly. And then over the course of a week, 15 minutes will be almost 2 hours more sleep than if you didn't.
What was the study?
So this was a study done in high school students, but looking at the difference of how much they're sleeping versus their correlation to grades. And so that 15-minute difference was shown to be that A to B student, 11 minutes from that B to C student.
If you love the Diary of a CEO brand and you watch this channel, please do me a huge favor. Become part of the 15% of the viewers on this channel that have hit the subscribe button. It helps us tremendously, and the bigger the channel gets, the bigger the guests.